Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to this episode of War Thunder Meta, in which we'll be going over Gaijin's video, Overcoming the Stock Syndrome. And I don't necessarily want to go into the video itself for very long. I want to come up to the solution that Gaijin really needs to embrace if they want to change the course of the game and the course of their interaction with the fans. Now, Gaijin released this video about stock syndrome and how to counter it, and they gave, the worst tips they gave were buying premium time as a first off. They started with that immediately, and then a second one was, for example, taking enemy planes to your airfield to get them shut down. Now, why people don't like this is because the grind is hard, and the grind becomes really hard starting from around tier 4 and going up to tier 5, and with tanks you even have tier 6. And to get vehicles spaded takes blood, sweat and tears, sometimes more than 100 games for the later vehicles. And this is an absolute disaster for the game, especially for their player retention. Now, Gaijin has a terrible player retention, as you may or may not know, but Gaijin on their own site boasts that they have about 20 million people that played this game, and if there is a few million left of that, I don't think there's even a million people actively playing War Thunder at the moment, as we have an average of 60,000 people online, concurrent users. So you know, if it's 600,000 to a million people that still play, maybe 1.5 million, then that's a good number, and that's about 5 to 6% of the players that went into the game and tried it. And that is not very good player retention, and that is something they need to improve if they want to get this game where it could be. But it is not there because of the way Gaijin approaches customers and the way their business model works. Now, at the moment, with their current business model, Gaijin is bound to repeat this over and over again and lose players along the way. And of course, new players will be coming in, but it is a vicious downward spiral, let's say. And it's all because, in my eyes, of their business model and how they look at customers and making money. They have short-term goals. Now, if you look at a new player coming into the game, the grind is almost impossible with all the army branches. You have the Air Force, you have the ground forces, you have naval coming in, you have helicopters coming in. They are working on tier 6 for planes, and there is already a tier 6 in tanks. And to actually get to some of the vehicles that people might be enticed to start playing the game for, it takes an enormous amount of effort, it takes an enormous amount of grinding, and that takes the fun out of the game for a lot of people already, and you lose a shit ton of people along the way. Most of the people starting the game will not even reach the vehicle that they went into the game for, let's say. So you don't bind these people to you with this short-term goal. You can see this in the way Gaijin presents its updates right now. Every 3-4 months you have an update with new vehicles. Sometimes new graphics are involved. Sometimes there is a new map or something like that, something to get people enthusiastic. People come into the game for certain vehicles. Other people that already stopped playing come back for certain vehicles. They play the game for a little bit, maybe buy some premium time, buy some modifications, and then they're off again. And they won't play for another 4 or 5 months, and maybe for the next patch they will come back and take another look at the game. Now, this is all short term. It is all based on the presenting such an impossible grind for people that people become irritated, and they want something so bad that you force people to spend money. And this way they are trying to earn as much money from people as long as they're in the game. And that seems to be the focus for me. So it seems that they are trying to get people into the game with these regular patches, and then people want a certain vehicle, and after a while they realize that they're not going to make it to that vehicle in any short amount of time, and then people will be forced to spend money. But they are spending that money out of irritation with the grind and a realization that there is some impossibilities in the game at the moment. when it comes to grinding and getting the vehicles that they want unlocked and spaded. This, like I said, it takes blood, sweat and tears, and if you're not already a long time in the game, there is a good chance that you will leave the game again, because you just don't want to spend that enormous amount of time on one vehicle to get it spaded, especially when you're not hooked yet. And so you either spend money, but if you don't have money, you leave the game regardless, and thus you lose people, and that's how you build a terrible player retention, which Gaijin has. Like I said, if it is 5%, 8%, then that is a lot. I don't think it's as high as 8%. I think it's 5 or lower, 5% from the players that still play to all the players that tried this game out, and that's terrible. What I think they should do to solve these problems is, there's a multitude of things they can do in that, but the basic thing in their business model should change from these short-term goals to setting the goal to binding players to the game. That's it. Keep people in the game as long as possible. Why? Because if I speak for myself, the longer you spend in a game, the more effort you put into a game, the more of trees you unlock, and the more you get a connection to a game, the harder it is to step away from that game because of everything you put into that game. If you put blood, sweat and tears into a game again and again, and you've reached certain things, you feel a certain sense of accomplishment with what you reached, then you bind a player, to the game, to his own achievements, to his own connection, to all the planes, to all the fun moments he had. And that is what you want as a game company. You want players as long in the game as you possibly can, keep them in the game, and then having people stay because of their memories, because of their friends, and because of all the stuff they have unlocked and all the hours they have in the game, and even amount of money they have in the game. For example, myself, I'm a collector with these kind of games, and I spend a lot of money on these games. It would take a serious competition for me to leave War Thunder, let's say, because of all the stuff I did, because of all the things I unlocked. And I think that works that way for most people. And what they can do to make it fun for people and to make the grind less hard is to start off with more events with free vehicles and gifts. Now they have done that, but they have done that in the past, and they also tried to get people on the market with the summer event eventually, pushing that thing. That also got them a very negative backlash. Gaijin seems to be very capable of that with their current business model, their short-term goals. It never fails to annoy people, let's say, and you see that coming back again and again, and that is unfortunate because it just burns people out in the end, and Gaijin could avoid that by approaching it differently. Now, like I said, if you have more reasonable events, like the second summer event that came out, like you do a certain amount of tasks that are actually reachable for most people, and people can get a reward. People will feel accomplishment by that, and without the need to spend any money, and get people enthusiastic about your game and feel really good about something they earned in game. I also think a thing they could do easily, for example, more rewards for days in game. If I see people link the reward they got for 1,000 days in game, then I think that's a missed opportunity. You should, at certain numbers like 100 consecutive days in the game, special reward. 500, give them some golden eagles. 1,000, give them stuff. Bind them to you. It's not so difficult. What does it cost you? A few golden eagles to somebody very happy. Somebody can buy a cheap premium plane, and somebody is happy with that. Somebody plays that, and somebody is more connected to your game again. Now, what they also should do, and that is a basic given right now, is make the grind easier. Just reduce all the requirements for planes and modifications by 30 or 40%. It doesn't harm anybody. It gives people more units more quickly, and it will bind people more quickly. I mean, if you start in War Thunder right now, you have 7 nations, 7 air trees. You have, I don't know, it's 6 now. I don't think the Japanese have tanks yet, but 6 tank trees until tier 6. Then you are gonna get more and more naval trees. You're gonna get helicopter trees. If all that's flashed out and you have 7 of all those trees, it's going to be impossible for people to grind everything. So make it a little easier. Get people connected to their tree, let people finish things a little bit faster, get them that win accomplishment feeling more, and bind them to the game, because if these players then want to buy something because they love the game, everything the game gives them, and then they buy something because they like a certain premium plane, they get some premium time because they want to get, then you are on the right track, company. When people start to invest because they actually love the game and not out of frustration and irritation because of a slow grind and because they know they can't get something normally. And that is for the longevity of the game, these long-term games goals, I think will get Gaijin a multitude of players that have left, and also will increase their player retention to no end. It could multiply multiple times if they actually start to focus on binding players to their game, keeping players in the game as long as possible. If that is the goal, instead of short-term goals, try to get money out of people, force people to spend money out of frustration and irritation, and instead of that, give some more things freely, make the grind easier, more events with nice gifts, more rewards for days in game, stuff like that. You can think of more stuff like that, and then people actually stay in the game longer, feel a sense of accomplishment, and will start to invest some money in the game because they actually love it, because they want to support you. That is a complete different ball game than the way they try to make money right now. And I think if they do that, Gaijin has a chance to grow War Thunder from where it is now to a 3, 4, 5, 6 times big audience that actually plays the game regularly, and it will make this game very vibrant, and it will give it a second life and maybe a lifespan 10 years longer than on the trajectory that they are currently at. If they don't make this change, I think the game will remain existing for a couple of years. It may actually still exist for a longer time if no competitor comes on the market. Because I think that if they continue in this way, try to make people spend money out of irritation with the grind and stuff like that, with these short-term goals and no work on certain game modes and stuff like that. If you continue like this, if a serious competitor comes into this market, a lot of people will jump to the other game. That's my thoughts, even though the game might not have as many vehicles and stuff like that. Gaijin still has a chance to make this game untouchable, because with all the stuff they have in game right now, there is no game that can compare. And if they actually start to focus on the player and keeping them in game and making them happy, man, this game could go all the way. Anyway guys, let me know what your thoughts are about the video and about my thoughts about the solution. And I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment. And if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.